Our next class is going to be called Meals and Minutes, and Tamara Gerardo and I am going to be doing the presenting. We kind of split the class this time, and she's been so wonderful. She's actually moving today, so she's been putting this class together and passing it at the same time with two little ones at home. Quite the multitasker. So the Meals and Minutes class is kind of an interesting concept because I know a lot of you think that cooking with food storage takes all day, which some of it does take all day. Well, you know, if you include the soaking times and everything. But we have found that there are ways that you can actually put meals together, especially if you pre-assemble them, put them together ahead of time, that you can, you know, it's a lot faster to put your meals together because everything's all pre-measured and ready to go. So we're going to go through that. Not only that, but it this is like a little loud. He says he can hear, so maybe it's good. Okay, that's better. Okay, so the other cool thing about Meals and Minutes, along with the other two classes, it combines using canned things and using dehydrated things to put your meals together. So it kind of takes what we've learned in the first two classes, and now we're going to do the application part of it. James Faust said, "Every father and mother are their family's storekeepers. They should store whatever their family would like to have in case of an emergency." And do you see what this family has stored? I'm going to go to their house. Pretzels, candy, they got chocolate covered something down there, bananas, all kinds of fun stuff. And those are things we've talked about. You can have those kinds of things in your food storage, and you can, you know, store them for long term. Marshmallows, you know, they go hard pretty fast, but if you suck all the air out of a jar, they're going to stay soft for a really long time. So you can have a lot of really fun things and easy things as part of your food storage program. So let's talk about Meals and Minutes. There is a lot of components of ways and different combinations that you can do Meals and Minutes. One of them is to make mixes. And you're going to be trying today two kinds of cookies, two kinds of muffins that were made from bread recipes that were both made from mixes. She's going to be teaching you about a cheese sauce mix. There's pancake mixes and biscuit mixes. She's also doing a roll mix. You're going to get to try those. That you mix them up ahead of time, and then you just pull out what you need, basically add water, maybe a few other ingredients, and you've got something ready to go. Another thing is something like, these are both quick bread kinds of things, and this one you actually add eggs and oil to, but you could do it with powdered eggs and powdered shortening, and then you would just only need to add water to. And so this one I didn't do that, but I think this one you just add oil and water, and it already has the eggs in. So you can kind of mix and match, and depending on if you don't want to use powdered eggs, then you can just leave the powdered eggs out and use fresh eggs. If you don't have fresh eggs, then you can use the powdered eggs. So it's kind of a mix and match kind of thing. So that's another way you can do it. Another way is I have this book called Dinner in the Bag. And her idea is where she actually puts them in bags, but you take things that are canned or jarred or dried, those are spices, and you assemble them all together, put them in a bag, so everything for your meal is already in a bag. It's a lot easier as far as especially if you're working on your 90-day supply or even just regular everyday dinners, you know that you have all the ingredients for the meal. Because how many times have you gone to make dinner? It's like 5:30, the kids are starving, you're starving, your husband's starving, and you're missing like a key ingredient to what you were planning on making. This way, you know you've got everything that you need. Another way you can do it is these are meals in a jar. These ones were actually from this cookbook called Dinners in the Jar, and she has taken 30 different dinner meals, and we'll talk a little bit more, but she's got pizza in here. It's not like your regular food storage meals. It's things that your family would eat, and her family eats these on an ongoing basis, so it's something she's always rotating and always using, and it makes her cooking a lot faster. And you can do them really pretty in the jars, or you can put them in steel wheel bags or in the Mylar bags, so they'll store for longer term storage. Because we do live in earthquake country, we don't know that we really want to have everything stored in glass. And, you can fit a lot more things in if you can jam a lot of those bags and things in things. Okay. As far as meals, you can actually do pre-packaged meals for breakfast, for main meals, which you can do soups, you can do pastas, you can even do pizza. You can do all kinds of breads, quick breads and raised breads, and you can do all kinds of desserts. So there's a lot of different mixes and a lot of different things you can put together and to be able to make your meals. Okay, I'm going to turn some time over to Tamara now, and she's going to do several different ways of doing meals.
Hi, it's Tamara Harada. First of all, my disclaimer, I am not any sort of a chef whatsoever. In fact, if Gordon Ramsay saw that I was teaching a cooking class, he would have some choice words to say about it. I just started doing food storage about 3 years ago. I had a baby, and all of a sudden, I don't know if it's a mother's instinct or what, but I panicked. What if something happens and I don't have food for my child? So I went out, I go to Costco, and I get formula, and I get, now it's the milk and things like that. But I started with just the beginnings. I got my wheat, and then I went and got the powdered eggs and powdered milk and other things. But I wasn't using it. I was just hoarding. We all know about hoarding food, right? So I was just hoarding my food. It's all in the closet. And then I started getting a little extras, just some more fun things, dehydrated fruits and vegetables, and I started using those. You run out of carrots? Oh, well, I've got a can of carrots. I know how to use carrots, so I threw a scoop of carrots in my soup. And it was really good. I was surprised that you could take a can of carrots and just take a scoop in it. It tasted very good, just like normal carrots. So I started using my food storage that way. I've also tried breads. I'm sure nobody else has had problems with breads, right? I'm the only one that's ever had a problem with breads. 3 years I've worked on bread. So anyway, I finally got some recipes. I grind my wheat, and now I finally got a couple recipes for bread. And anyway, Debbie calls me and says, "Do you want to teach a cooking class?" Me? I don't know anything. So anyway, the last few weeks I've been trying recipes. I have most of her books. This is very few of her books. I have them all. And I've been going through them and I've been trying recipes. And she says that I've been packing. I have not packed anything. I have been cooking and throwing stuff down the disposal and in the garbage and, husband, please eat this, please try it. And then, I made a regular meal last night. He says, "Is this food storage?" I said, "No, I'm done." Because some of them weren't very good. Now, in an emergency, do you want your meal to taste good? Yes. A lot of people still starve even though they have food because either they don't know how to cook it or it's too bland and you don't want to eat it. So we need to start practicing. And I've spent 3 weeks practicing and you have the good. I did find some good recipes. You have the bad. Gets thrown, and the bland. That's okay, I keep it, but it's not what my family likes. So, of course, I just get rid of the bad. There's no way. But the bland, what I do is, what you need to do is you need to practice. And whatever spices your family likes, you need to personalize the recipe to fit your family, and you need to have those spices in storage. It needs to be ready to go. Oh, I practiced with TVP. That was fun. It might be good for some people. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't practice enough. But I've learned that I am going to use canned food. I've got the Costco chicken and eating from that, but that's expensive. So I'm going to go and I'm going to can her for Mother's Day. Yes. And I'm going to can my meats because my family likes meat. And if we have soup without meat, my husband will not eat. So, anyway, let's start with the breads. flour, the egg, milk, butter, everything's in here, except for the yeast. And I had a dough enhancer. I made it the first time without dough enhancer. It turned out fine. Turns out fine with it, so I just had it just in case, because like I said, I struggled with bread for a long time. So I take a quarter cup of warm water. And 1 1/4 cups of warm water, 1 1/4 teaspoons of yeast, and I just let that sit. And I'm going to let it sit for a while. All I have to do now is add 4 cups of my mix and mix it up, and I just let it raise from there. And I mean, most of us don't want to do bread because of all the measuring and everything, so it's all right here. All I have to do is have my water and my yeast, a little dough enhancer before I throw the mix in, and it's ready to go. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Oh, after I've cooked and made bread, I don't really want to do a whole lot for dinner. So take a can of manwich and a can of the roast beef, the Costco roast beef, mix it together, and you've got dinner. You've got homemade rolls with sausages. And that's something my family likes, and like I said, after I've made bread in the oven all day, I really don't want to sit in a hot kitchen and cook some more. So that's the bread. We'll come back to it. I've also made my homemade rice-a-roni mix. Rice-a-roni costs about $1, and I think this whole thing costed me $2. And that's going to make a lot of boxes of rice-a-roni. My chicken bouillon's in there, onion powder, garlic powder, parsley, and I just punched up spaghetti and made little noodles. And that takes just a few minutes. You know how to cook rice-a-roni. This is my cheese sauce. So most of us have food storage. We have the cheese powder. Have you ever tasted the cheese powder? Mixed it up and, ooh, that's not good. I thought I could make macaroni and cheese out of that. Well, you can. So I've taken the cheese powder, butter, milk, and I threw in extra spices. I like mustard, powdered mustard, and garlic and onions. What else did I throw in? Oh, I like Parmesan cheese, so I threw that in too. Anyway, for this, all you have to do is boil the water. So it's 1 cup of water. I'm not doing the noodles. You guys all know how to boil noodles, right? Okay. So I boil my water, and I add half a cup. So 1 cup of water, and I have to have a cheese sauce. And whisk it and just let it cook long enough for the flour taste to go away. It only takes a minute. And you have macaroni and cheese. Throw that in with the noodles. Well, but you throw that in with the noodles, and you can also, from this is a cheese sauce, you can make your like potatoes, baked potatoes, or you can make a macaroni casserole, or you can breadcrumbs and Parmesan cheese on top. So, I mean, this is just a regular cheese sauce, and you can do so many different things with your cheese sauce. But again, macaroni and cheese, a box costs 68 cents on sale, and I make my macaroni and cheese for about 23 cents. So I've learned to use my food storage, so it's not just sitting in my closet. I use it, it's saving me money and saving me time now. So I'm actually making my food storage work for me, instead of me walking around food storage and trying to figure out what to do with this mess. So the cheese sauce is done. Sorry, I should have used a glass. Thank you. I've also taken, my family likes a lot of Mexican food, and I've taken some of my recipes and converted them to food storage. I use a lot of canned foods for this. Anyway, I made a chicken tortilla soup, and my husband loves it. In fact, I brought another recipe. Oh, my friend told me about a chicken tortilla soup. Oh, no, this is good. This is perfect. Don't mess with it. So, and it's food storage. It's easy. I take a can of, sorry, I don't have my recipe, but I've cooked it several times this week, so don't worry about it. Yes, you look at it in your handout. I take cans of corn, tomatoes, beans, and a can of chicken. And it tastes good. Oh, and an enchilada sauce. I use red enchilada sauce unless I'm going to double the batch, and then I use a can of red and a can of green. I like the taste a little bit better if you mix it. But, wait, Debbie, do you want to open cans while I measure?
So this is a really good example what you're doing right now of like the dinner in a bag kind of thing, where you know, it's just a bunch of canned stuff and some water, a few spices that you're combining. You could pre-measure your spices ahead of time and just make little packets and then just pull a packet for your tortilla soup.
And that's a great idea. I don't measure. I have this, but for this I just use the palm of my hand. So, enchilada sauce. I think it's a quarter cup of onions, dehydrated. Good storage. Teaspoon of chicken bouillon. Nope, I throw most everything in except for onions. But you can even put the bean juice in. It's just extra protein. Really, you can't mess this recipe up. A teaspoon of cumin. A teaspoon of chili powder. A teaspoon of cilantro. I don't measure. And my garlic. I throw extra garlic in everything. I don't know, it's been recently I started Weight Watchers and this then garlic everywhere. So that's what I do. There's my tomatoes. And it's just water. Throw it in. Even with the chicken, it's just good flavored water. What? Listen, I'm not even teaching you how to cook. I'm opening cans and throwing them in.
So I take it you don't have a cat at home, because if I opened that can of chicken, my cat would be going.
No, I have 2 dogs, and they like that stuff too. Then I usually take a masher. Oh, I forgot my green chilies. I take a masher, and I just mash the chicken up. And I kind of let some of the beans get a little mushy. And I think, oh, maybe can look good. And I didn't really see. Anyway, I threw it on the crock pot. I did try it in the sun oven. I made one of those sun ovens, those self ones, and I decided I was going to try that, really get into food storage, and I didn't realize you had to close the bottom. So the top was nice and warm and the bottom was cold. So another reason to practice your food storage, if you don't have electricity, you might need to use one of your alternative methods. Now I know next time I do a sun oven, I will close the bottom of my sun oven, so it will actually cook. But so you could use the sun oven, or you could just bring it to a boil and put it in your hot box, ice box, thank you, with the little blanket, and just let it sit. I mean, it's all cooked. There's no reason why you can't eat that now, but the flavors in the spices, the oils, will just develop the longer you set it. In fact, I think soups are much better the second day than they are the first day, because the seasonings have a chance to develop. Okay, back to bread. My yeast is gone for a while. I add 4 cups of bread mix. And Debbie asked if you need to knead this. I never have, and it's fine. I don't know if it would get better if you did. But I stir it, and I stir it well, but I don't sit there and knead it. And that's bread right there. That's your dough. Now, if bread is that easy, do you think you could do it? Yeah. Trust me, I have fed the ducks at Apollo Park. I can't count how many times, because I have had horrible bread. And I also have a recipe for whole wheat bread that I, again, struggled and tried, and I've ground so much wheat for my wheat flour. And finally I found a great recipe, and it's in there as well. It's called 100% whole wheat light bread or something like that. But I was so impressed with it, I gave it both out instead of to Apollo Park. Okay, so this, you just let it rise. for 30 minutes. And then I use this for sandwich buns, for like sandwich and whatever. You could use rolls. When I do it hasn't risen, but when I flatten it out if I want to make buns. I roll it out and use a cutter because you don't want your sandwich buns to be too thick. Anyway, let me see if I forgot anything. Oh, I was online and, I did a lot of research. I've been on the computer a lot, as much as I have been cooking lately, researching recipes and things. And I found a website where a family of ex-Mormons were selling off their food storage. And they complained about it, how they had to, everywhere they looked there was food storage, and they were so sick of it, and what is all this? It's just rotting in my closet. You could let it rot in your closet and not know how to use it in an emergency, or you can start making your mixes, practice. I think that it's a great idea for every family to one night a week have food storage night. Take one recipe, try it, see what you would do different. And then the next time you try it, re-season, whatever you need to do, but you really should practice your food storage because in an emergency, you don't want to have food and still starve. Right. Questions? Yes?
As far as, that's white flour, right?
This is white flour, yes. I haven't tried it with wheat flour, but it's so similar to my wheat flour recipe, I think it would know.
Well, the reason I was asking is for white flour and meal in a bag, meal in a jar, kind of thing, you don't really lose any nutritional value, but with whole wheat flour that you grind, you're supposed to grind it and use it as soon as you grind it or refrigerate it.
Really?
So, you're supposedly, the nutrients start to degrade when you grind whole wheat flour if you use it long term. So buying whole wheat ground flour off the grocery shelf at the grocery store doesn't have as much nutritional value as grinding it at home and using it.
Well, that's not the only reason why. The reason whole wheat flour at the grocery store isn't really whole wheat flour.
They take out the wheat.
They've taken out the wheat germ, which has the oil in it, so it has a longer storage life. So it's not as healthy for you. You're right, grinding it doesn't last as long, but when you do repackage them and take the oxygen out, it'll store for 2 or 3 months on your shelf and be
Okay,
fine.
that's what I was wondering.
Most things that you're making in mixes are things you're rotating. They're not things you're going to keep stored long term.
Okay, good.
Right. This is something that I only do this with things that I would use often. I'll make macaroni. I have a 1 and a 2-year-old. I'm using macaroni and cheese a lot. I made rolls last night to bring here, and I had to stop my family from eating them because I said I need at least 100. So anyway, they just kept eating them and eating them. So I'll use them. These are the things that I use a lot, and so they're on my pantry shelf. They're ready to go whenever I need them. So it's fast. Food for less. They were 1, 2, 3 all together for $6, and I've been back several times to get more. Anything else?
I just have a comment about the wheat flour. I grind all my wheat and I do cookies and banana bread and whatever. I use wheat flour. And I don't know if it's right or not, but I grind, several cups of wheat and then I put it in Tupperware in the freezer. And I get it out and...
Yeah, that's what I used to do.
Oh, well, that's what I do.
Yeah. It keeps it, as opposed to just putting it on the counter or in the cupboard. You have to refrigerate it or freeze it.
And if you go into Food for Less in the baking aisle, and you're all going to have to race there. You go down the baking aisle, and it's on the left-hand side at the very bottom. And I don't know the brand, but they stock them up because I can go back and get it. As far as the wheat flour, I know the nutrients might be run, but I didn't know about storing it. So when I made my lightest ever wheat bread that actually worked, it still tasted wonderful. So just to let you know, I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying that it still tasted good.
Well, no, it's not that it's not good. It's just like they said, it doesn't have a long-term storage.
Yeah. So.
Are you good?
I'm good.
Any more questions for the town? Okay, I'm going to take over for my part now. All right. Oh, we need to go back. Okay, we're switching just a second. She did a great job, didn't she? when I originally asked her, she called me a couple weeks later, or maybe she came over. She's like, why did you ask me to do this? And I told her that when I was originally had the idea for this class, that one of the things that I'm finding is we're getting a lot of, kind of middle-aged or older kind of people in the classes, but this class in particular is so perfect for young married people that are on the go, that got, have little kids that are busy. It's such a, a perfect idea for them to do that. And I knew she was starting to use her food storage, and as you can see, she delved right into it. She did a fantastic job. I was thinking, she could be teaching these classes. You don't need me anymore. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about packaging and storing your dried foods. And we've talked a little bit about this already because of the dehydrated class, but okay. I'm just going to put them all up there. All right, so when you're doing meals and minutes, you have lots of options that you can do. The same thing as we talked about, the whole halt thing, humidity, air, light, and temperature. That's going to affect your mixes as well. Just like, when you go to the store and you get like pasta running, for instance, off the shelf, it has an expiration date of about 6 months. And part of the reason for that is it's packaged in cardboard, the air is getting to it, although air does not really hurt noodles a whole lot. Bugs can get into them, but it doesn't really affect the flavor and stuff of noodles in a short amount of time. But if you do take those and repackage them with opposite absorber in Mylar or in something else, it will store a lot longer. You'll have, a 3 to 5 year shelf life rather than having, a 6 months to a year shelf life. Your spices in those will start getting like stale tasting when you open them. They're trying to even sealed up in little, kind of like little mini Mylar packages, a lot of them. But they just, after a while they get, you get them and they like kind of break apart if they're old. So you store them for longer term and it'll be better. And you can do it in the jars, like the one that's up there. Those are like whole meals in a jar that you would just dump in, add some water, and cook. One of the things on the Dehydrate to Store website that I loved, that got me so excited about using dehydrated things, is she's really big into taking all your dehydrated and some meat. You could use canned meat, she used fresh meat, but she just dumps it all in a crock pot with water, turns it on, and walks away, and comes back 68 hours later and has this wonderful meal. It is so fast and easy. Especially if you pre-package your stuff. Her stuff's not pre-packaged, although it's dried. She's using different jars of things. If you would put it all together, then it's even faster. And you can even call from wherever you are, stuck on the freeway somewhere, and tell your kids, hey, pull a jar of something off the shelf and, put in 6 cups of water, and, they can do dinner. So even husbands can do it if they're not used to cooking. Okay. I say that, but my husband probably wouldn't even do that. If it's not already done, forget it. Okay. The jar thing, it's great, gets all the air out, and, makes it so it seals, longer. So all those things, we've talked a little bit about that. I'm trying to think, and then her containers, those are more for, things that you're rotating, fairly quickly. In a month or two, you can just keep them in those kind of containers. It doesn't have to be sealed up in something. But I will tell you that it is handy, and in a minute I'm going to show you some examples of that. Okay, so shelf life, 1 to 30 years for dehydrated foods. This is the whole halt thing again, the air, the oxygen, the air. The humidity, the oxygen, the dark or light, not in the light, and temperature. Okay, so I can tell you, let's talk a little bit about shelf life once you've opened something. What if you have dehydrated or freeze-dried stuff on your shelf? Most of you probably do that. This example I'm giving you is actually a turkey tetrazzini. It's a meal. It's a freeze-dried meal. I can tell you freeze-dried stuff, even in the Antelope Valley here, where the air is really very dry compared to everybody else. Once you open a freeze-dried product, it starts, even if you keep the plastic lid on, it starts absorbing moisture out of the air, and it starts getting soft, and it'll start affecting your taste. So if you're not going to go through a freeze-dried product very quickly, I suggest repackaging it. Just put it in mason jars and suck the air out or something like that. But you're going to want to keep it, unless you're going to go through it fast. If you go through it in a few months, you're probably okay. If you live in a high humidity place, you're definitely going to want to repackage. What happens is you get soft or it gets clumpy. The one on the bottom is one that got all clumpy. That happens more, I'm sure you've all opened things and left them there for a while. Most of us have done that, and they've gotten clumpy like that. That doesn't mean that they're bad, by the way. It just means that, sift them or break them up or whatever. Okay. Oops, I did the wrong one. All right. Okay, so these meals we've talked about in putting meals together in minutes, they're great for everyday usage, aren't they? I mean, how nice would it be to dump a jar of stuff in or throw some stuff into a crock pot and be able to have a meal and not have to really think about it? I have gotten, since I only have one child left at home now, I've gotten really bad with menu planning. And I find if I don't menu plan, then I just don't know what I should make for dinner. And I have a ton of food in my house, probably literally actually, more than one time. And, but if you don't have in your mind what you're going to do, then it's like, I don't know, let's just pick up something. I'm trying to get away from that. So it's great to menu plan. And when you're doing these meals in minutes, menu planning is a great way to do it. We're going to talk, and I like this mom. Doesn't she look kind of, I actually put in like hurried mother or something, and this is one of the pictures that came up. I mean, how many of us have felt like that, especially when we have younger kids? She just does not look like she wants to be cooking. Okay, these things are perfect for a 90-day supply. Now, I've had a lot of phone calls with these. You've probably seen them. This is from Costco. It's supposed to be a 90-day supply of food for one person. How many have you seen them? Okay. Utah has them. They actually have them in ours, and you can get them online. Well, I don't know if ours has them. Sam's Club did have them.
They did the other day. They had a few of them the other day when I was there. $65.
Okay, so I've had some people call me and ask me my opinion on them, so I'm going to give you my opinion. If you like to eat oatmeal and soup, then get this. Okay, and if you like to eat the same thing day after day, then get this. I think it's a perfect thing for like college students. The meals are not individually packed, so it's not like 90 dinners that you're getting in there. They're packaged in, I think there's 5 servings in a package. Most college students probably would eat the 5 servings in one meal. And so I don't think it's much food. I mean, look at how much food is in there. That does not look like enough food to last you 3 months, does it? Even adding water to it. So, and not only that, but the food, the people that I know that have tried it haven't been all that excited about the taste of the stuff in there. So my thing is, why not do your own 90-day supply of stuff? Why not do stuff that your family eats? These jars have enough food in them for like a family of 5 or 6. And it's more nutritional, and it's better tasting, and it's things that you can be used to eating. So, you can do one or you can do the other. But you do want to plan for your 90 days. And we talked about that last month when we did not last month, in February when we did the Frugal Gourmet class. We talked about menu planning and doing a menu for 6 months or 30 days and then using that for 6 months at a time. It's perfect for your 90-day stuff too. And you get to decide how much variety you want. If you like to eat oatmeal every day, have oatmeal every day. If you don't like oatmeal at all, or you only want to eat it once a week, then only plan for it for once a week and multiply it times 12, and you've got, your 30-day supply of your oatmeal. But with these kind of mixes, you can do breads, you can do main dishes, even pizza, as part of your 90-day supply. And that even can go into now your year supply stuff, because if you've got pasta or potatoes or rice in your food storage, how good would it be to be able to put some cheese sauce with it? So you're seeing now how you're taking your 90-day stuff, adding some of these other things into it, and being able to expand that now 90 days or your year supply stuff, and be able to make meals out of it. So it's a great way of converting. Let's talk about a few books that are out there that I use. She told you I do. I probably have 30 books that are, maybe not 30, 20 books that are along these lines of mixes. I started out with a Gifts in a Jar series. There's a whole bunch of them. I think I have all of them now. There's soup and stew and crock pots and beans and breads and desserts. And I even have one, I don't have a picture up here. I did bring it though. I got it at Christmas time. It's called Holiday Gifts from a Jar. It's got some really fun, recipes. And what are these geared toward? They're geared toward dried stuff. That you add a few, canned things to it. A can of tomato, maybe. A can of meat, maybe. But everything is already in the jar. Now, living in California, we talked about, they look really pretty in the jar, but it's maybe a little bit more practical to, seal it up in a bag and have everything there. This one, if you'll notice at the top, it tells you what it is, and it says you just add 10 cups of water and cook it, and then you add a teaspoon of salt at the end when it's almost done, because I don't know if you know this, but dehydrated stuff, it doesn't rehydrate all the way, or beans, when you add the salt in early, so you add it in at the end. But this is a whole meal. This would feed like 8 people. And it's already all done, just add water. And this was, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay, so the Everyday Gourmet was a cookbook that I found that is all food storage items, so meaning it's all things that can be stored long term, either in cans or dried. You can convert into things. The Master Mix, the cookie recipe I did, which is right here. It has, what this does, and I think I got this at our church bookstore a few years ago. It has a master mixer cookies in it. And then all the recipes in here, all are made from that, and then you add some other ingredients. Now, this is not a food storage one, so it has you use eggs. So what I did was, okay, these are the 2 cookies I did. I did molasses cookies and I did chocolate chip cookies. When I did the molasses cookies, I did not use powdered eggs, I used fresh eggs, because I didn't think about it until after the fact. So this one, you have to add eggs and shortening and molasses. And then you cook it and you have molasses cookies. And they're really good. I never made them before, but they're really good. These are the chocolate chip cookies. This will make about 3 dozen cookies. Everything is in here. All you have to do is add water. This one even has the shortening in it. And I put egg powder in it. And I put powdered vanilla in it. So this is complete. Just add water. I'm actually sending this to my son that's off at college. Yeah.
Dried
Yes.
Oh, I dropped my thing.
Yes, she asked if it was dried shortening. Yes, they have dried shortening. But I did not put dried shortening in here. This is regular shortening. You can use regular shortening in mixes, but these have to be rotated because it's kept airtight. Air is what makes your shortening goes rancid. So this will store probably 6 months to a year. But if you're going to do longer than that, I would do the powdered shortening. But it's really easy to convert recipes, regular recipes into food storage by just using, some powdered eggs, some, powdered shortening or regular shortening if you want to do that. And there is even powdered vanilla out there. So anyway, and I just put on, he just has to dump this in, add a little bit of water, and bake them. And he has chocolate chip cookies. And I think you'll find them rather tasty. I've eaten a few of them already this morning while we're waiting. Okay. The dinner that's in the jar book, this one is cool because she gives you, it's like a complete meal that you put all together, and then she'll have a few add-ons, like for instance, let's see. Okay, so this is the chicken pot pie. She has 30 different dinner recipes, main meals in here. So this one's chicken pot pie. It's made in, there's a pint and a quart that has stuff in it, and then you add 1 pint of cooked chicken to it, or a can of cooked chicken. And then it's got the ingredients in here, and it comes with labels and everything, so it's really easy, easy to use. There's also the one down in the middle, the Mix a Meal cookbook. When I first started doing food storage classes, I called that fast food storage. The whole thing is making mixes, all kinds of cheese sauce mixes, and it's all using food storage. So it uses the dehydrated shortening and the butter and all that stuff. That's all she uses in her. She doesn't use any fresh stuff. So it makes it really easy. And her recipes are really good. She has a whole bunch of different kinds of recipes in there. Okay, I think that's all of those ones. Okay. Then, converting recipes. This originally, this autumn soup recipe, was a recipe I actually got from the Relief Society, from my ward that I grew up in. And it was all fresh stuff. I mean, it's pretty much, the original recipe has hamburger in it. I never make it with hamburger, I make it as a vegetable soup. But it is so good, mostly because of the seasonings. And so I converted it into just, it had fresh cabbage and fresh carrots and fresh onions and all that, and it's all dried stuff, and it's really good. It's even got dried tomatoes in it. Yep, dried tomatoes. I was thinking it had canned tomatoes in it. So that one that was really easy that I converted over. And I'm sure all of you have recipes that you can convert over. Okay, on the internet, this is the Dehydrate to Store lady, Tammy again. There's also the Survival Acres, your foodstorage.com. YouTube has a lot of stuff on it. Backpackerchef.com. Those are all be in the web, are all on the handout so you can see. But they all have great ideas and recipes and ways to do this. The backpacking one is really cool because, another cool thing about doing this is if there's only one or two of you at home, you can divide these, recipes up for your size of family. Or if you buy things off the shelf, it's for 4 or 5 people, and half of it ends up going to waste, and or you have a husband that doesn't like leftovers, and then it goes to waste, so the dog eats it. But anyway, you can customize it for your family, which is another really great thing. Okay, what's this? Okay, so this is a hint. I saw this one YouTube show about this lady who decided she wanted to do packaged meals like this for 365. She wanted 365 of them. That was her goal. She ended up with about 180. She didn't try any of the recipes first. And I'm like, okay, what if you don't like that? So what she did is she would find a recipe and she would make 12 of them, so she'd have one for each month, which is a great idea. But what if you didn't like it? So make sure you taste them first and, like Tamara said, make some adjustments. Maybe just need some spice adjustments, or maybe you just don't like it at all. So tasting it first. The next thing is you want to make a plan. That's where, doing your calendar comes in. Then you want to gather your supplies. And, I didn't change this. Okay. So you want to gather your supplies so you have everything you need to make it. And then you want to be able to put it together. And I'm going to give you a couple ideas for this. One, this is a great family home evening thing. Get together and put together 1 or 2 meals for, 3 months or for a year. You find autumn soup that you like. You might want to have that once a month, and you can do 12 of those. And it's really fast. You just do a little assembly line with your family and just pass it down and, do it. Another thing, this one at the bottom, there's actually a word that did this. They call them homemade MREs. It's the same idea where you just put it together all together. They did over 1,000 of them in 2 hours. So they just had tables set up and organized and had all the stuff there. Everybody, had pre-ordered what they wanted, and they put these packets together. It had the instructions on the inside of the packages and, labels on the outside. So another, a little bit more higher, a fancier way of doing it, but it still was a great way of doing it. They also make great gifts. I've been giving stuff like this to my kids for Christmases. I'll make up, 2 or 3 different things and give it to them so they have it. Okay, next month we have, in May, for those of you that came to the earthquake class a couple weeks ago, or it was just last week, wasn't it? Sheesh, time's going by fast. We're doing the next part of that has to do with emergencies. Called WASHES this time, water, shelter, hygiene, and sanitation. It's the next part of after a disaster happens. This will be the next phase that you would be working with. How to clean out your water barrels, how to, what to put in them. We'll answer all those questions. What kind of shelter you might want to think about getting. That one up in the upper right-hand corner, that's a solo shower. We're going to talk a little bit about that. That has to do with hygiene. And then, of course, sanitation things. It's going to cover trash and, bodily fluid things and all kinds of interesting things that has to do with sanitation. And then our next food storage class will be in August. And it'll be luscious legumes, rice is nice, and corn off the cob. And we're going to be learning how to make tortillas in the corn off the cob class. So it'll be really fun. Okay, so meals and minutes. So today we learned about dehydrating and canning and that was the wrong order, and putting things together and just adding water to be able to make a meal. I'm hoping that you're going to take the information, because I know this is a lot, and through our blog you get a lot of information, but you'll be able to go home and kind of sift through and see what's going to work for you. For me, a lot of my stuff I buy already dehydrated in the cans. Like she was talking about the celery, a whole stalk of celery makes this much. You can buy a number 10 can of celery. Geez, that probably has 20 stalks of celery in it for like $12. Just get some of that stuff already done. But some things I like to customize. Like I like my peppers, to be pepper slices that I can use for fajitas and things. And when you buy peppers, they're little tiny pieces, which is great for pastas and stuff like that, but sometimes you want big ones. So I have kind of a combination of those. I have some meats that I buy canned, and now I'm starting to can a lot of different kinds of meats. So you can add those. I even have Costco hot dogs canned, and bacon and things like that. So I've got some, a little bit of variety in there. So just kind of looking at what meals you want to make and what other kinds of things you want to go with them, and then you'll kind of decide, what do you need. If your family doesn't like we just did that order that had asparagus in it. My family doesn't like asparagus. That wouldn't do me any good. Some families love asparagus. It's a great way to be able to add some asparagus into your food storage. We want you to be ready with your personal storehouse filled with at least a year's supply. We don't argue why it cannot be done. We just plan to organize and get it done. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just do it. We have a lot of things going on in the world right now that are pointing toward the fact that we're going to need to be self-reliant and more self-sufficient. I think the church has been pointing us in that direction for a long time, but I see more and more little hints of that in wanting us to be more self-reliant and helping others to be self-reliant. So we hope today with the classes that we had that you'll be able to go home and think about your food storage in a whole new way. Think about it as everyday cooking and not just that week that's sitting in the garage, but something that you can do with it. And we also have some delicious things to taste. Tamara made you her homemade rolls and the sloppy joe nuts to go on them, the tortilla soup, and the macaroni and cheese. So all of those are over there, plus the cookies and the muffins. It's like a little smorgasbord today. So I hope you came hungry. Yeah?
Are all classes here?
No. The cooking classes, which are the Saturday classes, are here. They're only 4 times a year. The other classes are at the building that's on Lancaster Boulevard and 17th Street West. Yeah, there's a church, a Mormon church there. 1701. 1701.
And you do that online?
If you're new or you're not on my email list already, make sure that you sign up because that's where you'll get all the handouts for all the, there's a handout that are 25 or more pages long for each of the classes we did today, with colored pictures and places to go for information. So make sure you have lots of ink to be able to print things out. And don't just leave them on your computer because if the power goes out, you're gonna lose all that. Print them out and don't do it all at once because you'll use like a whole thing of paper. Print them out every month and put them in a folder and then you have them to use and pass them along. I got a couple of emails this last week from some lady that's in Idaho that her bishop somehow got a hold of my Noah's Ark handout and loved it and wanted to know if she could, use it. I got a couple from Canada a few weeks ago, so it's kind of fun. The stuff's going all over. We love that. The more people are prepared, the better. So we're going to wrap it up now, and thanks everybody for coming.